All right, today we are going over a couple tips and tricks to make sure your gear will not get you killed. And yeah, so today's video obviously sponsored by CitraLube. We got the lube and the cleaner. Use code Agent Orange for 10% off. You guys have been supporting the brand like crazy, so thank you for that. Um, every order is just one step closer to escaping the fucking corporate, fucking capitalist nightmare that we live in. But yeah, so getting started, and I want to preface this video with this. Some of this information is going to seem very obvious. It's going to sound like, well, no shit. What a no brainer. But here's the thing, I have seen this shit enough to warrant making a video about this because I don't see any other videos talking about it. So I'm going to try to cram all this shit into one video, and there we go. So starting off with mounting an optic on your pistol. The basics. Make sure that you've got the right screw length, and use fucking Loctite or Vibrotite or whatever you want to use, but use a thread locker and follow the instructions. Seems straightforward, seems obvious, I know, but follow me here. If you use the wrong screw type, it's going to fuck up the clamping force on the optic to the pistol, and it's not going to hold zero. If you fuck up the length of it and it's too long, it could, in some slides, impact the extractor spring. Easiest way to find out if you're using the right screw. With the optic off, you're going to take the screw, put it into the hole, right? And you're going to see how many threads are sticking out of the bottom of the optic. If it's like one or two, you need a longer screw. If it's a shitload, then put the optic with the screw going through it, put it up next to the slide, and see how long it might protrude into the slide. This is important because some slides have optic holes that are cut all the way down to the extractor, and you can, with it off, you can see the spring for the extractor. The reason that's an issue is if that screw is too long and it compresses that spring, it's going to affect the reliability of your extractor. So like I said, put the optic up next to it, see how long the screw goes down, base it off of that. Another trick, with it installed, if you take the slide off the back plate and you try to pull the extractor spring out, if it comes out easy, it's fine. If it's stuck or feels like it's stuck on something, you used way too long of a screw, pull it out and use a different screw. Loctite or Vibrotite, whatever. Put that shit on. Do not rely on the shit that comes on the screw. Some optic screws come with like a red, blue, or yellow dry paste kind of looking Loctite. Do not rely on that. Get your own fucking blue Loctite. That's what I use. And only put enough on to coat maybe one or two of the threads. I mean, it really does not take a lot. If you have to reapply Loctite, take something like acetone, clean the screw, clean the hole, let it dry, and then reapply your Loctite. Goof Off actually works really, really well for removing Loctite as well. So, yeah, another thing as well, when you get a pistol, if it comes with plates, make sure there's no gaps in front or behind the optic. If there are, buy a third-party plate from somewhere else that will fill those gaps. You really want to make sure that the optic is not relying solely on the screws, because that shit will shear off, and it will shear off at the worst possible time. Another thing as well, sounds super obvious, backup fucking iron sights on everything. Unless it's a competition pistol, I get it. But if it is a CCW pistol, for the love of God, get backup sights, please. I know people are out there, I trust my aim point, I trust my Trijicon, whatever, I get it. Batteries die, optics fail, it happens. Please have backup iron sights. Every pistol is different. Something like this Prodigy, it's going to have a different mounting sequence than something like an M&P or the Zev here. And that is something like this plate system requires red Loctite, which I normally don't put on anything. It goes from red Loctite to the plate to the slide, and blue Loctite optic to plate. This is a very common thing. You can Google it. There's many threads about it where the shit just will not stay tight. That's the only way to make it work on this bitch. I don't know why. I hate this optic system. I love the pistol, so I deal with it. Another thing as well is with plates like these, if you have too long of screws from the plate to the slide, it can bow out, or in the optic to plate. If the screw is too long, it'll eventually push up the optic. So make sure that the screw is not too long. So that's pretty much it for optics mounting. Another trick with something like this 2011, while I have it in my hand, is going to be the fact that these need a break-in. Generally, you break in a pistol that's metal framed by shooting it a lot. This economy fucking sucks. It's ran by satanic pedophiles. Ammo costs are through the roof, and it is what it is. So the easiest way to speed up the break-in of your metal frame pistol is go to the range, shoot a couple hundred rounds, shoot what you can, take it home, dry fire it as much as you can, and then take the slide and frame off and look at where the wear marks are. And what you're going to do is you can do it by hand or you can do it with a Dremel, only if you're good with a Dremel. If you're not, please do not use a fucking Dremel. You're going to take some sort of metal polish like Mother's Mag or something like that, and you're going to, on the spots that are already showing little bits of wear, you're going to very gently polish that to a dull shine. No more. Don't sit there for an hour fucking polishing the shit out of it. Just a dull shine. You're going to clean it up, re-lubricate it, put it back together, see how it feels. You should notice that it is a bit smoother. What that's doing is that's speeding up the break-in process. That is important for metal on metal guns like this because the tighter tolerances, everything like that requires a break-in, and for maximum reliability of shit like that, it's just important to do. So if you remember back in the day on Backpage for buying and selling guns, you know, people would be so concerned about round count or holster wear or whatever. Me personally, on a metal frame gun, I would prefer there to be more rounds on it. I would prefer to buy, like if I were to buy another Prodigy, if it had 3,000, 4,000 rounds on it, I'm totally fine with that because they paid all that money for it to be broken in, and I didn't. So generally speaking, when you shoot a high round count or handle a high round count like 2011, you'll notice it's a lot smoother than one that you get straight off the shelf. So just a little bit of information there. Next tip is going to be with M-LOK, my M-LOK people. Obviously, we know that M-LOK works by the screw protruding through the thing, and then the little thing, you got to turn it and then fucking tighten it down. Sometimes those screws are too long, and they will touch the barrel or the gas block. That is bad. It will throw off the zero of your gun, and it will actually make it to where you can't zero the fucking thing. The accuracy will be so wild that you're unable to zero it. So, easiest thing to do, Kurt Cobain challenge, look down it, make sure that nothing is touching your gas block or your barrel, no zip ties, no nothing, no screws or anything. And if any of the screws are touching your barrel or gas block, take it out and then shave it down a couple millimeters, maybe 1 or 2 to start, put it back in, see if it's good. This is very important, and I've seen it a million times. That's the reason why I'm bringing it up. I would help somebody try to zero their rifle, let's say at like 36 yards, and they'll have like a 5-inch fucking group. On factory ammo, that is insane at 36 yards. And then, of course, I look, and then, whoa, look at that. One of the fucking screws for their light or whatever is impacting the gas block or the barrel, and we remove it, and then now all of a sudden, the thing can fucking zero. So very important to look at. Another thing, my suppressed people, lube up your tapers if you're using something like a Rearden or Plan B or whatever. Even on this KGM can here, which I love this suppressor. Shout out KGM. I will say though, not a huge fan of this mounting system, and I'll explain why. This taper system gets pretty fucking dirty. And when I first got this can, this bitch would get locked on here, and I would have to use their proprietary tool to remove it. And that was a hassle. Until one of the guys at KGM recommended lubing the taper itself, putting it on, and that's it. And that has been the single biggest help, whether it's this or the Reardon Plan B type mounts. Very important. That'll help keep it from getting carbon locked on. Obviously, your first shot or two might be a little smoky. It is what it is, but it's very worth it to make sure that your shit will not get fucking carbon locked on. It sucks. It's annoying, and happens to the best of us. So, like I said, some of these tips and tricks are going to sound super obvious, super basic, but these are all things I've seen a million times. Another one that I've seen is going to be with scope mounting. I've seen firearms manufacturers do this on their factory rifles. I've seen long-range aficionados do it. I've seen people who own Night Force. They'll go out, spend all the money on the Night Force, and they'll do this thing, which is to have their scope rings uneven. The gap needs to be even, right? Because a mount like this with the top screws, the clamping force is going down. That's what's keeping the optic from, becoming loose and losing zero. It's very important to make sure that the gaps are even on each side. And the easiest way to do that is remove your screws, obviously make sure this bitch is level, and apply new Loctite. And you're going to put one screw in each spot, or depending on how your optic system works. But you're going to put one in each, and then you're going to tighten them slowly until the gap is even on both sides. Once they're even, and once you confirm that this is level, you're going to put the other screws in, and you're going to go around in a clockwise or counterclockwise if you want manner, and you're just going to slowly tighten them down until you get to the torque spec of your scope mount. That is very important. Again, you don't want uneven gaps because the clamping force will be uneven. It'll be offset. That's going to majorly affect your mount's ability to keep this zeroed even when you're beating the shit out of it, right? Like this mount here from Swamp Fox and the optic. This Warhawk 2-10 is fucking insane. I love this optic. Gonna do a video on it when I can do fucking long range. Long range in Washington seems to be fucking impossible, or at least around the places that I know. So again, couple small tips and tricks. Use this video as kind of a checkpoint. Go and look at your gear. Make sure your shit's not loose. Make sure your batteries are good. Clean and re-lubricate your guns. I know a lot of people think it's a flex to say that, well, I haven't cleaned my gun in 5,000 rounds. Well, now that we're all shooting suppressed, or we should all be shooting suppressed, these rifles get dirtier so much faster, and that carbon is being like injected into places where it used to not be, and it's making everything dirtier. Even your magazines are getting filled with fucking carbon buildup. So it's very important to clean your shit. And if you're not going to use my product, which so far the reviews have been great on this because this smells like oranges and not like shit, clean your stuff. Clean it with something and then re-lube it. Again, it is not a flex to say that your rifle can do 10,000 rounds and never be cleaned. It's like, what if on that 10,001 round, that's when it jams on you, and that's the time that you need it. So always clean your shit, always Loctite your shit, always give your Loctite 24 hours to cure, and don't trust the federal government. They're all pedophiles, and yeah, that's pretty much about it. See ya.